Hi everyone and welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. I am Bess McCarty in Victoria, Kansas, and this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show where you can get food for thought and grow for lunch. Where it's here every Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, usually presented by Jeff Gamble and Brandy Pember. And on Wednesdays I present. We cover one personal growth book a month, and today, this month, is the book by Ken Blanchard, Leading at a Higher Level. This is an incredible book about leadership. Leadership can be about leading ourselves, leading a family, leading a nonprofit organization, leading a team in network marketing, being a manager in corporate or at any job, any group of people. But it can also be one person leading ourselves, and John Maxwell says the hardest person to lead is ourselves. So we'll get into the book in just a moment. Would like to invite people and welcome you to invite people. And by the way, if you're watching the replay, please type in replay because I want to thank you for that. And the purpose of this show is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. The show is sponsored by the MLM Millionaire Academy, our generic alternative school for network marketers. That we have a basics class in that every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. People have been coming on there for years and learning what I think is the very best methods I've ever seen in network marketing to always get a yes, never get objections, to recruit people fast, to be able to sort people out, pre-qualify them. We teach all of this, how to make more full, anyway, how to the best, easiest, simplest, quickest, most duplicatable ways I've ever seen in network marketing. We teach in that school, along with the basic 10 core commitments. So that is on Monday night, and I'll post a link below. But if you'd like info on that, just go to mlmmillionaireclub.com/basics, mlmmillionaireclub.com/basics, and there's a little write-up about that and what we do in there. So let's see. Leadership. By the way, whether Jeff and Brandy present or I do, you can find all of our shows every day and the replays and Jeff's cliff notes on each book at the Facebook group, MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And there's over 600 MLM leaders in there. You can scroll down and find 400 replays. We've been doing this for about 2 years. And I love the books that we cover. I love this book that we're covering today. Okay, so organizational leadership. That was yesterday's chapter 11 in this book, Ken Blanchard's Leading at a Higher Level. So yesterday Jeff and Brandy covered that, and I think it's a good lead-in to this chapter, because in that one he talks about why change is so important and then how to lead people through change. So many times change is necessary, right, to correct something not working or to take advantage of the next level, take advantage of an opportunity in any organization. So organizational leading is all about leading people through change, but do people like change? Typically not. Our human self just likes to stay with the old familiar and the way things are and all that. Mark Twain once said, the only person who likes change is a baby with a wet diaper. And I think even then, the baby often resists change. The baby doesn't want to be picked up and laid down and wiped and changed and all that. So usually you have to kind of distract a baby or play with them while they're getting changed, because they don't really like the change either. I mean, they don't like to be changed. So typically you've seen that cartoon that says, the leader says, okay, how many people want change? And everybody raises their hand, right? Everybody wants something better. And then he says, how many people want to change? And nobody raises their hand. We want the good stuff, the good change, but we don't want to go through it because we don't, the work or the unknown or any of those things. But yet change is inevitable. It said you can always count on change, except from a vending machine. So that's, anyway, those are change jokes, but we don't usually like change. There's stuff that comes up some people say, okay, well, people afraid really that they're going to lose control, they're going to lose status. What's it going to mean to me if I change? Is this going to be good for me? Can I do it? Am I going to have support? Is my job going to be secure? Or my life going to be secure? So there's all of these questions that come up. And some people just get behind change for a little bit, but they don't realize, well, the leader has to help them realize this is going to be for good. Like I remember my sister when she began doing healthy eating, and she began working with my nutritionist, who I've been working with for years, and I just like healthy eating as a lifestyle. And so she began healthy eating with him, and she goes, okay, I think I can do this, but how long do you think I'm going to have to do this? Like until she reaches her health goal or something like that. And how do I break it to her? I thought that this is an ongoing, a desired ongoing way of living, not just something you do for a little while and then go back to your old way of eating. So that's what a leader has to take into consider, all these things that people are human, have these resistances. And welcome, Luya. Welcome everybody watching here. Welcome to you. If you're watching the replay, please type replay so I can thank you for watching. Thank you for the likes and loves. Appreciate that. So leadership. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership, so it's pretty important. And then this particular chapter is about change. The last one and this one is about change, which is inevitable too. It's as a standard to life as leadership is. And I thought it's cool that I got this chapter because my life happens to be changing so much now. So it got me to look at all my resistances. But this leading for a change, this can apply to leading ourselves. Excuse me. Leading ourselves, leading our family, leading a classroom of students, leading people on your team, corporate, all of that. So change, he says, is so important because that leaders, when they lead people through change, they kind of are faced with a lose-lose situation, right? If they start to implement change, it brings up people's fears and resistances. And if they don't implement the change, then the organization will slowly die, and even could the whole company could die, and people could lose their jobs. So what do? You have to have something in between to lead people to those changes. And in organizational leadership, he said there's 3 mistakes. The 3 first reasons why leading through change fails is that people think that announcing it is the same thing as implementing it, and people's concerns with change are not addressed, and the people that are being asked to change are not involved in the planning. So he goes through some of these, and he says he has 9 strategies here for helping people through change as a leader. Number 1 is the buy-in. He says expand involvement and influence. Which of the following are you more likely to commit to? A decision made by others being imposed upon you, or a decision you've had a chance to provide input to? So he says this is crucial, and this is what you want to do. You want to get people on your team, and to remember that there's a difference between compliance and commitment. People will, if they're not included in the change, they'll sort of collude with others, and fear sort of takes over, and they become anxious or resistant, or maybe even look for a new job. But the bottom line is that people have to influence the change they are expected to make. Or as Robert Lee said, people who are left out of the shaping of change have a way of reminding us that they're really important. We can see that in our family too. So here was a study he uses as an example that a problem in America has been 68% of child support cases were in arrears. In other words, they weren't collected, or they were late, or something like that. 67% of children and families who needed the child support weren't getting it and were living in poverty. That was 20 million children in America at the time of the writing of this book. They didn't have the manpower to pursue the non-paying, support-paying parents. Like the parents would move to another county or state or something like that, and they wouldn't be able to catch up with them. So they decided in the 1990s that the federal legislation mandated that the state keeps track of an electronic tracking system that could then quickly communicate with other counties and states the whereabouts of the people. But some county clerks had resistance to doing this because some of them at that time didn't use computers, and some of them used paper and pen, and some of them were good at getting success in other ways. So there's all these different people and types of people that they needed to get on board with designing this change and trying it out and even piloting it and talking to the other people. So this is how he recommends is, number one, include them in the planning. And then number two, select and align the leadership board. And he said it can't be done with a single leader. It always needs a team of people united and aligned as one voice to gain the trust of the people and the following of the people. And the people on that team should be both sponsors of the project, who can legitimize it and deploy resources for it, but it also should be day-to-day leadership people. And so you evaluate, well, have they been part of a successful change in the past? Do they have the time to do it? Do they have the respect of their skills, of their peers? And are they highly skilled? Can they play the role of the devil's advocate? And can I communicate with other people who might not, voice their concerns? And do they have the diversity necessary? So that's what they did on this. They got all these different people together. And welcome, Nancy. How are you? I'm glad to see you. Talking about Ken Blanchard, leading at a higher level. And this is how to lead people through change, including ourselves. So what does this have to do with if we get everybody on board and we're the only, like if it's just me leading myself through a change, how do I get myself on board? Where as an inner child therapist and a body-mind therapist, I thought, how could this apply to the people who are watching today who just want to make a change just with themselves, starting with themselves? Well, my strategy is that we get on board the parts of ourselves, because it's said that there's many people on our bus, right? There's the inner child of me, there's the adult of me, there's the business me, there's the mom me, the grandma me, like Nancy and I are both grandmas. There's a minister in me, a playful person, an emotional person, a mental person, a spiritual person, my physical part. And how do I get all of the people on the bus on board? And I might have a talk with all of them and say, okay, you guys, who's on board with this new strategy? Let's say that I want to start eating healthy. Like I mentioned with my sister, I want to start eating healthy. And maybe my mental self is on board, my spiritual self is on board, but maybe my child self, no, I'm worried about that. I'm going to have to give up some good tastes. I'm going to have to give up some joy. Or this is what, my eating junk food was the brightest part of my life. I don't want to give that up. That was the favorite part of my day is going, having my McDonald's or whatever. So maybe that gave them joy. And my strategy with that is help the person to see how they can get the joy met in a different way, like maybe going to the park or getting a massage or something like that. Get that joy met a different way. And you also tell them the outcome. You're going to have more energy, more time to play, healthier body to run and play and dance, and maybe to learn dance like you've always wanted to do. So get the inner child on board with these things. Hear the inner child out. But that's exactly what he says to do with all these different diverse people on the team that might be resisting. Hear them out, even though it might be uncomfortable at first. And actually put them on the team. And that can be uncomfortable, but some of the greatest resistors to your plan actually become some of the greatest supporters of your plan in many cases. But here's a cool quote. Those who plan the battle rarely battle the plan. Those who plan the battle, who help to plan it, rarely work against their own plan. So I think that's really, really cool. Get everybody on board, even the resistant parts of myself, if it's just myself. And then he said you must align everybody, on the team. Must be on the same page and send out the consistent message to the team. This reminds me of parenting advice that two parents, if they give out opposite messages to the child about discipline and boundaries and goals and what you want for the child, then that confuses the heck out of the child, and the child just freezes and paralyzes and nothing happens. Or the child is torn and split and conflicted. And as a body-mind therapist, I know that scoliosis is often the tugging and pulling of the right and left sides of the body, representing mother and father, male and female parts of ourselves. So there's a conflict in there that actually gets in the body and manifests in the body. And the child, that's the child, the price the child pays if the parents are not aligned. And so it is in an organization. The leaders need to be on the same page and send that consistent message. Strategy, and Leah says, I truly need change as a leader. My energy has been slowly draining out through the entire pressure I've been dealing with. Change as a leader, my energy is slowly draining out. If our energy drains out, could it be, thank you, Leah, thank you. If our energy drains out, could it be that we're trying to do it all ourselves and we get tired of juggling and trying to do it all? Could there be, I don't know if this is so for your situation, but could there be a way to spot and groom the people who are ready to take some of the responsibility? And they like it. They like doing that. That's a gift to them, if that applies to your situation. Who's ever listening? Number 3, explain the business case for a change, because lots of people don't understand the need for a change. The difficulty, says, lies not in so much in developing new ideas as escaping from old ones. Why do we want the change? How is this going to benefit the people? And you can dig into their why. Like for the child support people, they felt hopeless and frustrated for the kids and the families, and frustrated because they weren't able to track down the missing parents, the non-supporting parents. So when the leaders reminded them of this hopelessness and this frustration, they said, we're not just implementing a computer system, we are helping the children to have a better life. So when they really got down to that, remember how hard it's been for us to find the people, this will help that. So they remind them of the why behind all of that. And then people can get behind it. Number 4 strategy is envision the future. Where there is no vision, people perish, says Proverbs. So a compelling vision. And he says it's good to revisit or even redo the organization's vision and the rationale behind it. And when people are involved in creating the vision, it helps them to flush up and resolve any personal concerns or resistance they might have to that as well. Okay, number 5 strategy says is experiment to ensure alignment. And this is about piloting a program. In other words, do a little small test run, or with a small group of people, and then note the results that they have so you can work out the bugs, and because you can't foresee everything, can you? But you can then do this experimental pilot and work out the bugs, and then take it to the rest of the group. And then they trust more because they see, well, it's valid. This has been well thought out and everything. Also, the people who've gone before can talk with the new people and say, well, this is coming up, and this is what I went through and I experienced. This is probably what you can experience too. So if you don't do that, people just sort of shrug it off as unrealistic. It's not really applicable, and you have a hard time implementing the change. Remember that people cannot absorb more change. There's just so much change that they can do, no matter how resilient and adaptive they are. You have to pace it and realize, not get ahead of what people's adaptation is. And he says what gets measured gets done. That's real important to measure and track. He says communication, real important. Have you ever heard that all problems are communication problems? I like that. I love the art of communication and trying to improve mine every day. There's a few more tips, 3 more tips I'll share about implementing, helping people through a change. But meanwhile, I'd love to hear from you. If you are facing a change and would like to get some tips today for yourself or for your team about how to lead them through it in the best way, please type yes below. That's maybe true for all of us because change is a given, especially at this time. And I know my life is changing tremendously right now. How can I be flexible? How can I get on board? How can I look ahead? How can I plan? How can I strategize? So if you would like one tip, one takeaway from today to smooth change in your life, please type yes. Because then I want people to see that you're not alone. Okay, number 6 tip. Oh, back to the communication. He says, communicate your key messages at least 10 times in 10 different ways. Why is that? I think it's because we're human and we need the repetition to let it sink in or believe that it's going to stay and it's here to stay. And that I might need that many repetitions to get through my old habits. It could also be because there's 4 different personalities, or some people say 16 different personalities, and different ones hear it in different ways. And so we try to say the message to reach people, repetition, and in different ways. Number 6 strategy, enable and encourage. This addresses people's concerns and just doesn't try to say one size fits all. So instead of saying, hey, we're raising the bar, for this company, for this group, for this team, people go, well, what's wrong with the way it was? Wasn't I doing a good job? What does it mean to me? Well, I have to change. So instead we say why we're raising the bar. The advantage is going to be to everybody in the company and ultimately everybody concerned too. We use mistakes to learn and we praise progress. Number 7 strategy, excuse my voice. Number 7 strategy, execute and endorse. I like this a lot. A leader needs to attract followers, but if the mobilization process is to succeed, those followers must become leaders too, finding their own sense of purpose in the shared challenge and spreading the call and vision of the change. So these leaders must walk the talk, must measure, praise progress, and redirect when necessary. The key to developing people and creating a great organization is to catch people doing right, catch people doing things right, and to accentuate the positive. Isn't that how Zig Ziglar saved his marriage? He said he was thinking of leaving it, and then he said, wait a minute, let me try this. And he caught his wife doing something that he appreciated and told her. And he kept doing that. She kept doing more of those things. Marriage saved. So, pretty powerful principle in a leader, including in a relationship. Strategy number 8, embed and extend. That means reach sustainable results. Organizations should spend 10 times more energy reinforcing the change they just made than looking for the next great change to try. Support that one. Do a good job with that one. And realize that culture can kill a change. That's the predominating attitudes, beliefs, and behavior patterns that characterize an organization's functioning. So take a look at that. And the last one, quick one, is strategy number 9, explore possibilities. And that kind of summarizes everything before, do that pilot, plan ahead, get on board, get the people's feedback who are intimately involved in the front line of a thing, of a project. Include them. They're more likely to buy in. You're more likely to be realistic, to get important information you wouldn't have had otherwise. It isn't just like, okay, a few guys at the top are going to mandate and send this down to people. No, we want to get them involved for our own information, but also for their buy-in. They're joining in. So did you get something? Nancy says yes. She nods. Okay. Thank you for your comments and likes and loves. Let's keep the comments going. Tomorrow is Chapter 13, which is managing a successful cultural transformation. So if culture is the attitudes, behaviors, predominating beliefs and all that in an organization, then how do you manage a successful transformation to a higher level to raise the bar. So that's tomorrow. Jeff and Brandy will be presenting this chapter from the book, Ken Blanchard, Leadership at a Higher Level. And you can find, whether Jeff or Brandy or I present, you can find us all in the Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group. And this is sponsored by the MLM Millionaire Academy, our generic alternative school for network marketers, where we teach how to always get a yes, never get an objection. A process that works with all four personalities, is perfectly duplicatable. It's easy, fast, simple. It's just the best method I've ever seen in network marketing to prospect. So we teach this method along with the 10 core commitments in the school. The school's been in operation over 10 years. Has people been in the school that whole time? They love it. They get results. They jump ranks. So we love you to check it out at mlmmillionaireclub.com/basics. mlmmillionaireclub.com/basics. Why a school? Because very few upline are really trained to lead their people completely, to train and teach and lead their people to success. In the school, we teach the skills and the mindset. Being a body-mind therapist, I bring the mindset part especially to the school. And how many of your upline are trained therapists? So we teach both of these things in the school as well as leadership, and love to have you check it out. So anything else today? We will see you guys tomorrow for the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, at the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group, where you can get food for thought and grow for lunch. Get your personal growth in every day. Learn something every day. Did you get one thing from this show that you can use as a takeaway and use in your life? I'd love to hear it below. Love to hear a takeaway or a question or a tip or a story that others can benefit from too. That's all below. Keep the conversation going. I'll be back and check in on it. Okay, everybody, thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.